So my name is Ipora Nyangara Mumbi, or you can call me Zippy. I am the founder and the executive director of Haven of Dreams. Haven of Dreams is a community-based organization working towards addressing issues of mental health, including intergenerational trauma, and helping the community to adapt to mental health issues and have psychological resilience. So today is also the 10th of October, which also is World Mental Health Day, where we commemorate mental health in the world, bringing people together to address issues of mental health. And the theme for this year is mental health is a human right. And so where we are here today is I'll give a brief of why we are here today. Today we are joined together with a team of psychologists and a team of a class of advocates, or rather what we call mental health advocates. We have partnered with the KNLS Nakuru branch to provide trainings on mental health to the community members. We came to a realization that there's what people think and imagine about mental health, and then there's what is the reality. And one of the things also, we know that when it comes to issues of access to mental health, as much as we are a digital world, we go and ask signs of depression, signs of anxiety, people do not have the right information on mental health. And if we go by the statistics that 1 out of 4 persons will have a mental health condition at some point in their life, we then saw that there is a need to demystify the myths and misconceptions around mental health, and bringing a pool of psychologists, mental health champions, just to do that. Because for us to change the world and for us to change the narrative around mental health, we then need to change at least a few people who then are going to go to the community, and it's going to be a ripple effect. And of course, going back to our African society, when you're talking about mental health, the first thing that we hear is ni wendazimu, ni uchawi, ni familia, ilirogwa, endelea kuomba, and such kind of things. But in reality, mental health issues are real to us, and we are so good in masking what we are going through. And also, the reality is, when you are having a headache, the truth is you will go to a chemist or you go to a hospital to get the medicine. But when it comes to mental health, where are we going to? Are we seeking the right help? Are we seeking the right help and help from the right people? So what we have done is that for the past 10 weeks, we've had intense classes twice a week with this class, just to train on mental health. And some of them have said, I came in wanting to know how to deal with the other people, but in reality, I needed to know how to deal with myself. And so we are coming towards the end of the class, and we thought, instead of having a normal class in the library, then why not have this class out in nature? Why not come together and just share the lessons that we have learned, share the things that we have seen, and how we have grown as individuals. Because most of the times we think, when you're talking about mental health, or when you go to a mental health class, it's about the other person, but it's actually about you as a person, to be able to introspect, to be able to get to a point of self-awareness. And when you get to a point of self-awareness, you do not start blaming yourself that something is wrong with you. You begin asking yourself, what happened to me? And then how can I become better? So for the past 10 weeks, we've had this session. We've enabled the participants and the class to become better versions of themselves. And I think one of the things that is so humbling to me and Esther, the facilitators that are here, is the fact that people now saying that I have changed, I have become a better parent, I have become a better individual, I'm able to understand that nothing is wrong with me, and I'm also able to take up responsibility over my life and to decide that these are the boundaries that I will take and I will make, and this is the kind of life that I want to live. So I did not do it alone. We had a pool of psychologists, actually 5 psychologists that would take turns to train the class and just to be able to be here. And present to give the information. And even as we are celebrating World Mental Health, I think one of the challenge that I would give all of us is that it starts, yes, with the home, but then we also have to agree that not all of us have the right information when it comes to mental health, but then also having parents, I want to challenge parents to become intentional in their parenting, to decide that they are going to work on themselves, the inner child, the wounded child in them, so that they're able to become a better parent, so that we can also reduce or mitigate the intergenerational trauma. Then I would also like to challenge the government. One of the things and the gap that is there, especially in Nakuru County, even in our CIDP, is the fact that there is no specific or standalone budget for mental health. And we talk about having youth-friendly centers, but then these youth-friendly centers are not equipped. So it's just a matter of challenging the government to ensure that there's a budgetary allocation for that, but then also challenging the community, because when they go through public participation and they're able to raise the concerns and the gap that is around mental health, then it's also possible for the government to have a budgetary allocation so that we can have access of mental health services. Thank you.
My name is Esther Wangoi. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm also a counseling psychologist, and we are here because it's Mental Health Day, World Mental Health Day. And one of the key things that I would like us as a society to understand is that our mental health is very important, because as children, our perception towards the world is shaped in those formative years. Before we can create the world with our minds are created and shaped in those formative years, 0 to 7 years. And as Zippy has talked about how it is important for parents to practice intentional parenting, we will not do it if we don't know how. So we need to, as a society, we need to come to the table and sit down and discuss about how important it is for us to focus on our mental health, because for years we have been focusing on the physical and on the spiritual, and we have ignored the psychological aspect. Because as Zippy asked, when you have a mental health issue, where do you go? Because when we know where our bodies are sick, we go to the hospital. When we need spiritual help, we go to churches, to mosque. But when we have mental health issues, where do we go? So we need to create awareness that our minds are very important, because with our minds, our perception towards life is shaped. And if we truly want to create better brains, we need to start paying attention to how we are feeding these brains, how we are developing them. Because if we do not go back to those formative years and look at how we are parenting, look at our level of emotional intelligence, look at how we treat ourselves, then nothing outside here is going to change, because change first begins with us. And there's a quote that says that for years you start aiming at changing the world, but finally in the end you realize that the only person you need to change is you, because as you change, then the outside world changes. So we need to pay attention at creating better brains, and we can only do that when we are first intentional with our parenting, when we are intentional with how we feed our minds, and where we go for help when we have issues, because that's also another important aspect. Where do we go for help when we have issues? And we have to change our perception towards therapies, because with that attitude we have towards therapy, then we'll never seek help when we have mental health issues. So I would want to urge people, when they have mental health issues, to seek help in safe spaces and to change their perceptions towards therapy, towards seeking help and speaking out about their mental health struggles.
My name is Grace Wairimo Waweru. I'm the class representative for this cohort. Here for mental health, just as Zipporah has said, is tukiongea kuhusu mental health, we think it's madness. But when I'll speak on behalf of my classmates. Tukikuja kwa hii darasa, that was the idea that has been perceived, ama it has been passed down to us, that when we are talking about mental health, it's either somebody who has depression or another mental health disorder. Thanks to this class, we were able to demystify between the two, what is mental health and what are mental health disorders. We are a group of 30 people who have been empowered, who have been impacted. We have learned. I was telling our facilitators initially when we came to this class, some of us just came as a way of escape, because of how our lives have been, and literally we had sessions which in our society currently people are unable to afford. And so this class was impactful. It changed our lives, and we are looking forward, being a mental health day, we are looking forward to changing first our lives, then transforming our other people's lives, because I believe it starts it begins with us. When the next cohort starts here in Nakuru, I want to challenge you as a community to join. The second thing I want to challenge the community is let us embrace therapy. So let us embrace therapy, let us embrace safe spaces, because we have been brought up in a way that tuna handle everything, and we do not know that we have safe spaces whereby we can have people who give us a shoulder to lean on. To the government, there is a very huge gap in the mental health aspect. We don't have people in high schools, because as Esther has said, these issues go back to the womb. These issues go back to 0 to 7 years. If only kama KNLS wangekuwa sponsored, we have spaces where pregnant mothers can go, and they wanasomewa vitabu when the kids are still in the womb. And if we can create spaces even in high schools whereby psychologists can actually be paid, real psychologists who have practiced psychology, because our class from age 20 to around 60, and ukiangalia most of these issues, you hear somebody tell you tulikuwa na matron in school who was advising me. For me, I would like to challenge the government. Let us have real psychologists. Let us invest in mental health. Let us invest in mental wellness, because by the virtue of investing in young people, by the virtue of investing in our society, then we will have a better society. Yeah, thank you.